All right, recording has started. Welcome to QuantBox Live, where we get our global macro on and uncover best fundamental opportunities across across global markets. Cool. So yes, we look at sentiment, inflation, employment, GDP, technical trends, open trade positioning, seasonality. We get all that together, and then on top of that, then we look at market sentiment, what's actually happening. Hang on, I want to pull up a different email. Where is it? Hang on, I'm looking at a different screen. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, there it is. Cool. Anyways, so we start with all the underlying economics, which are long-term fundamentals, and then we look at market positioning through things like a scatter plot. There's a great one. We look at flows of capital week over week through the commitment of traders report, again shorter term. And then we analyze the S&P 500 and gold and yen and dollar and yields and volatility for the short term. And what we're trying to do is get congruency between long-term and short-term market forces. The idea here is if it's a long-term bull market, today is down. Well, today might be a dip and you want to buy a dip. So, anyways, what happens is you look at this is a great one. The top part is long term, the bottom part is short term. Okay, this is all short term. And then we get to here, which is long term, but this is a good way to organize your thought process. Which one should you be confident in for bullish or bearish, and which ones are neutral, and which ones maybe you should stay away from? It's good to know what not to trade. It's good to know when not to trade. Trading is easy. Patience and discipline and focus is the trick, right? But anyways, let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term. Never risk money you cannot afford to lose. And as we get going here, I wanted to do a little market update brought to you by traders.co. I kind of like it because it comes out this time of day. This just came out 19 minutes ago. Okay, we got the Fed testimony today. We have some jolts today. We have Bank of Canada interest rate decision. Yeah, so we got a lot of news. Currently, euro dollar, up 0.2%. S&P 500 is trying to recover from its 2 days of down. Well, we'll see. We'll get into this pretty quickly. But I want to show you, though, that Traders, which is launching soon, has discovered a trade setup on Amazon, on Meta, on Nvidia, on Aussie dollar, on Kiwi dollar, on USD Swiss franc, on the FTSE, and on gold. Huh. Cool, right? And this came out 19 minutes ago. So it gives you a quick little glance of what's on the calendar, what's been going on, and then things that are setting up for possible trades. Very cool. I like the breadth of markets. I just want to check this out. Remember February was locked. Yeah, good. So I unlocked February. So there's all the February videos. And now we're in March. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, yields have come down. That's great. That's good. That's the first thing I like to see. This is good. Yields coming down. Oil's up a little bit. Remember, oil was down for a couple of days. I think just yesterday we talked about, well, maybe that's a buy a dip scenario. Oh, well, it's up. Cool. Now, I don't know if you trade Bitcoin. You see, there's been a half a percent change, right? It dropped 10,000 bucks yesterday and now is up back to where it was. Oh, yeah, nothing happened. Yeah, nothing happened. It dropped 10,000 bucks in one day, but besides that, day over day, nothing happened. Yeah. So you could have bought this yesterday at $59,000. And you're like, wait, does that say 67? Uh-huh. So it's back 8,000. Yeah, that's right. Those late to the party. Yeah. So, anyways, wowzer. But what does it all mean? Well, let's organize our thoughts. It means nothing. Oh, wait, I want to check something on the homepage. No. All right. Mixed, mixed, mixed. Still no underlying intrinsic trend. I'm telling you, this is a money saver right here. This might not be making you money, but it should be saving you money. Everything that you see has the potential to be a mirage, a little one off, little trade, that kind of stuff. But it's just not there. The whole market is weak. So be extremely careful. Be extremely careful. So anyways, I'm pretty happy to see yields over the last week, the last 7 trading days, down 3% here. That's good. That's good. That means the market is starting to function. Now, I don't know if it's going to remain that way. One way of looking at it is clarity of Fed policy that they're going to cut, just maybe not as soon as markets expected earlier. But I think it was Governor Daley back in January that was, screaming cuts. And so the market responded to her, I don't know, overreaction or negligence. And now they're like, oh yeah, it's not coming. So it's all been priced back, but we're not at 4.5, we're not at 4.8. So cuts are coming, and yields have started to fall again, which is good. That means the market's going up. Investors are buying some treasuries again. Yeah. And of course, one major reason for that is you expect yields to fall in the future. What does that mean to price? Price goes up. So if people are buying it, they believe the Fed's cutting reasonably soon. So oil doing well. Good. S&P 500 had a bad day. Dow had a bad day. All right. All right. Let me check something. Let me check something. I was in a meeting yesterday regarding this. Hang on. This might be good. Hang on. Uh, uh, uh. Let me log into the back office for a second. Loading, loading, loading. Okay, now I'm in the back office of QuantBox where I can actually do some editing. Manage pages. Yeah, that'll do. All right, cool. Are you ready? Bum ba ba bum 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 boom. Okay, let me refresh. Here it comes. Wait for it. Loading, loading, loading. Exit full screen. Anyways. Right. Now we have two economic calendars. That's the old one. And this is the new one. Nice. It's a little simple, but I like it better. It's a little simple, but I do like it better. Now, for some reason, this isn't working. It's the browser, not QuantBox. It thinks it's in full screen, but it's not showing full screen. But anyways, uh, mm, 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 so you can see this is where we are today. ADP coming out at 8:15. The last one was 107, 149 as expected. Yeah. Now, see the challenge with doing the calendar this way is, these are all individual little cards, and then it has to write things, and you have to really hard program. This is a dumb way of doing the calendar, but I like it versus the other way, right? I just sort of like it. All right, so cool. Um, we have the budget coming out sometime today for the UK, 9:45 a.m. Okay. We have the Canadian interest rate decision expected to hold at 5%. And then at 10 a.m., Powell does his testimony and we get some jolts. That's it. Simple little calendar. Reminds me of the day planners. If you were around in the 90s, you had a little day planner with a little leather book, and you'd unsnap it and open it up, and your little pen was inside. And you're right. Very cool. Forest is like all Eastern time, right? Yes. New York City, center of the universe. Of course. We were going to put Bruges. Yeah, Boris. Yeah. We were going to put Perusian time, but yeah. Yes, it's all in New York time. Yeah. I made it for me. Will it update in real time? No, this is dumb. It's just simple. Yeah. How fast will this update? Um, that's not how QuantBox works. Let's just say it's not like an instant feed. We just don't get that type of data from that type. Our data providers don't provide that type of data. That's if we were a broker, we could do that, right? And so we can't really do that because we get think of everything that QuantBox does. There's like an update time for wherever we get the data, and it could be once an hour, maybe 15 minutes. It could be end of day. There's all these different data pieces, right? Um, so the real answer is I don't know, but I wouldn't expect it to be real time or even close. It could be like an hour after Jolts comes out, the calendar would update. Right. But it wouldn't be like, oh, look at all the calendar. Buy, 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 sell, sell, sell. Now, traders is different. Now, traders, does have real-time data in what I call the scalper, which takes a calendar like this, but then applies it towards um, pattern recognitions for news events. And the cool thing is that, like I've shown you in the past, it tells you what the market's likely to do if the news is good, what the market's likely to do if it's bad. You can go through and see how it gets to all those conclusions. But the thing is, it's glowing as you get closer and closer to the news event, and then it updates when it gets the news. It kills all the scenarios that didn't happen. So if it came out greater than expected, it kills all the analysis of less than expected and as expected, kills all of that, re-summarizes in the past when the news was like this news just was, it's it's a 71% chance of up on all these pairs and for these time frames. It's quite remarkable. Yeah. But again, it's just because it's from a completely different data source. Uh, Probably, yeah, Boris. Would you need it? Only if you like technical analysis. Cool. So, anywho, let's take a look where we are in the scorecard. Boo, boo, boo. We lost very bullish setups. So I'm wondering what percentage of these assets are moving toward neutral. And, because you have a situation like, let's say all this bullish stuff was moving like this, right? And is it bullish because we're moving like this? And are more than one thing changing? So if it comes down, you have technical analysis, right? Trend reading goes from a 2 to a 1 to a negative, to a 0 to a -1 to a -2. But what if in that, if this goes down and it's not unusual, so let's say it's at the right time of year, um, oh, like, do these go from very bullish to neutral to then bearish? And that's kind of what we're looking for here. So a lot of these markets, I think, are in a trap and break mode. Potential for capitulation. And we've been waiting for for the yen to get strong and for the yen pairs to come down. And as every passing day goes by, it looks like that's happening in many, many pairs, and we can look at that. We can manipulate this data, I think. Oh, for some reason I can't. Huh. Oh, I'll see if I can fix that. How come I can't organize that? Well, we can do it the old-fashioned way and scroll, baby, scroll. How big are these scores? 4 is still neutral, but bearishly neutral. So, like, you want to keep this in mind if we have risk off in the near future, dollar would likely to get strong, and you would look at like Aussie dollar would be one of the first ones you would be selling. Now, at investor boot camp yesterday, the day trading group and the swing trading group met, and we went over all these lists, this entire list, and we looked at Aussie CPI. We looked at Aussie retail sales. Okay, you're gonna let me pop that? No. Okay. And so we actually read all these reports and looked at the history. And so you would know, for example, why QuantBox is scoring this poorly. You'd know because we pull this data. And you're like, huh, well, I'm not very bullish on the Aussie. In fact, I might actually be bearish. Cool. So then using QuantBox, you'd be looking at, you'd be trying to answer the question, when will the US dollar get strong? And if it becomes strong, perhaps you sell Aussie dollar first. Okay. Now, Rand is neutral and a -3. It was probably a higher score in the past. Okay. But it's moving up, and that would be indicative of risk off. Just want to look at these. Apparently, these have been updated slightly to the point. I don't know what to what end. Well, they seem to be updating, which is nice. And we're not updating. No, some of these are still not. Coolio. Anyways, we'll get into some of this. There's some releases coming. So why don't we look at like that Aussie dollar just out of curiosity? And it might be itching closer and closer to a sell. Okay. Now, typically, if you're selling this, right? If you're, uh, that's usually a risk off period in which that trade works best. We can see here seasonality is not amazing, but by April, May, there's sometimes a dip. By July, for sure, a dip. So some mediocrity there. It's now scored -1. We can try to get a bigger look at that. Why don't we do that? Let's do that today. Let's look at let's bring that up as Aussie dollar odd. Do some research this morning. Again, we spotted that Aussie dollar could set up based on what our analysis of other markets. Maybe some risk off is appearing. Maybe the dollar will get strong. It's not necessarily strong down, but maybe it does. Aussie's already weak. So we're like, well, let's research this idea a little bit. Still loading here. I think this would be correct. Okay. Yep. Okay. You can see that the shape of, right, is usually we're in sort of a flattening period. And then there's that April, May, June. Maybe there's some down coming. Okay. We had some up, the unusual bullishness. July or January was unusually bullish. The stock market went up and all that kind of stuff. That is unusual. You can see it here. But what if that exhausts right around now? Then the near future, you might assume, we don't know, but you might expect like Here's what's happened over the last 5 years. Here's what's happened over the last 20 years. And the gray is where we are now. So could you assume oops, that was supposed to be gray. Come on. There we go. Could you assume that this rolls over? Yeah, that could be part of your plan. See? And you're like, "Oh, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'm gonna observe this asset, and if it happens, I'll take a trade or multiple trades over time." But you might say, "Well, if Aussie dollar turns bearish, oh, I'll be ready, willing, and able to take that trade." Now, this might not appear this week or next week, or maybe we're in it now, but it's your opportunity to prepare. And then we get into it a little more. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Week of the year. I always have to look this up. Week 10. Okay, we're right here. Week 10. Okay. Week 10. So some choppiness and actually a little bit of bullishness, huh? Chop, 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 a little bit of bullish and then around. So I wonder if that means like this sort of double tops, like up here is monthly information, not weekly, but I wonder if it does like, you know, and then more of the downward move. Okay, it's good to know. So again, we're at week 10. Yeah, it looks like interesting. Remember, this is just s- data, statistics. But actually, week 10 goes from bearish to less bearish and then bearish again, huh? So we see it some up, then down. Interesting. All right. I'm glad I looked at that. So if I was forming, let's say a top in my mind, this is just saying be prepared for a double top. Now, this is just statistics. We don't know. Have you ever bet on college football? You can look at all the stats and then the game starts, right? You see that movie where the guy's like, you don't bet on the stats. You just find out if the quarterback's girlfriend is pregnant and you bet that way. Yeah. I knew a guy whose full-time job was betting on college football, which is interesting. So he'd watch just football games. This is back in the 90s, right? Literally, someone would show up with a paper bag full of money. You're like, wow. So he had like 5 TVs. Yeah, it was great. And then I said, how come you only bet on college football? And he's like, all the NFL games are rigged. I'm like, what? And he could very accurately predict um, professional football games, like too good to the point where like maybe these things are rigged. Pretty amazing. So he's like, there's no money in it because everybody knows what the outcome's going to be. Like, really? But college, yeah. So anyways, cool. So why don't we look at that Aussie dog? Aussie dog. Hang on, just get rid of it for now. Me. 20 dwarves. All right, let's go to Aussie dog. and then get on with our day. Okay. So Aussie dollar says, well, it can go up a few more weeks and then start a long journey down. Okay. So, like, why don't we open this on a different chart? Let's do this one. So, to keep all that old analysis, let's look at this. And then we'll back out. Why don't we change this chart to annual? Okay. So, here's the beginning of the year. And we can go back to QuantBox and say, this is what the year is supposed to look like. This is the whole year in advance, by the way. It starts a down, a slide up, a down, a slide up, and a down, and a bottom around October. Down to March, down to June. Wait, are these all Fed meetings? Uh-huh. Anyways, down, there's some seasonality. And then we can go back and say it was supposed to fall, what, down to March? Let's do it this way. Fall down to March, and then an up, and then fall down to July, right? Good. Do you want to plan for that? So the way I would look at it is I'd probably trap it here. I don't expect big up because now you got to do technical analysis. And I think you could do something like this. JP says, didn't traders show an up alert? When? From that email I just showed you this morning? Is that the one you mean? Let me pull that back up. Yeah. All right. So let me open that back up. We can look at that. Yeah, it's right under NVIDIA. The falling wedge has broken through the resistance line at 3 o'clock this morning. Possible bullish price movement forecast for the next 3 days. It's beautiful, right? So a breach of 65 gets you to at least 65.50. And well, we just hit that. 65.17. Yeah. So it looks like it had it like this, 65.10. So in that little move there. So yeah, it's already done. 65.50 was the original target. Oh, we're only at 30. Let's look at it this way. 65.50 is up here. So it's a little higher. Did it have, now where'd this stupid thing go? That's the, yeah, so it's just saying the distance from here to here, you see? support is at 64.78. Okay, the resistance line was 65.17. So what it does is it takes the distance from here to here and then project it from there to there. Just technical analysis, right? You guys see that? Is that big enough? I don't think I can zoom in on a. So anyways, so that's all it's doing is taking you. This is A to B and then B to A. And so it was 65.50. And so that says we should be going to here. And maybe beyond, right? It's just showing you a trade of the day. All right, cool. And then where did it have, I just want to draw it the right way. It had a slope down. So it's just connecting these. Yeah, and then taking that distance. All right. Is that right? 64.77. Yep. So it's taking that low and trying to take us north, minimum. Cool. Right on. It's exciting, right? It's going to be helpful to put these things together. So now we want to sell Aussie dollar, but we're like, hey, there's another 4 weeks of up before there's going to be 12 weeks of down. And then you go and then you get technical trends to the upside. You're like, yeah, that's cool. Up for now. But they're nice little trades, right? So we have gold going down a little bit. Down a possible bearish price movement forecast for the next 9 hours. I mean, it's a nice little email, isn't it? It's not talking about some esoteric like gold should go down. It's like, no, for the next 9 hours. Oh, okay. Okay. And so you could, what if you were already a bear? See, that's the thing. I want you to already be a bull. I want you to already be a bear. And then you add this to your analysis. Okay. So I have this long right now. Okay. And so my plan, excuse me. Me. Okay. My plan is take it up today. And you may know this plan from yesterday. I created it. I said, we made a higher high. You need to have it come down. Super simple, right? And QuantBox is like, well, maybe not. Again, I'm not necessarily looking at it on the same time frame. It's looking at a 30-minute chart. Yeah, it's just looking at it differently than I am. All right, well, fine, good. Good. So that's what I have. It says something else. I don't think either of us are wrong. So that's my plan. I have to manage my risk, and we'll see if that goes up. Now, gold coming down. Well, whatever. We'll see. I get it. I get it. Again, let's see if I can. What's it doing? So it's looking at much smaller time frames. So the little up, uh, there's a little. uh, It's looking at this. See, it's much shorter time frame than I would do if I were me. All right. So one more click. So it's only looking at this. And I guess it thought this, right? Huh. Now, I believe it connected this low with that low and this high with that high, right? That's kind of what it's doing, right? Well, so far I'm right. All right, strike one for the human. Well, wait, I might be wrong in 2 hours. So, yeah, but anywho, maybe every once in a while the human will get it right. The only difference between what I'm doing and what traders is doing is I'm looking at it longer term. I'm looking at monetary policy. I'm looking at other things. It doesn't know any of that, no, right? It just knows technical analysis, and on that time frame, on that short time frame, it might give you a good day trade, and I'm in a longer term swing trade, right? So they're perfectly fine. Cool. Anyways, nice. All right, let's go. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Should be an interesting day. Remember, we do have news. If I bring that email back up, we do have news today. Okay. The big one, of course, is the testimony at 10 a.m. Yeah, that will be a market mover. We have a Bank of Canada interest rate decision just before that. Okay. And then IVPMI, which is big for the kitty cat, and JOLTS. We're ultra sensitive about jobs right now. So wowzer, like a pretty full calendar. And then Nikki Haley is announcing that she's pausing her campaign. And the strategy is now wait for Trump to be thrown in jail. And now suddenly you're the leading candidate again. So you don't want to quit. You don't want to drop out if you're Nikki Haley. Yeah. Because you don't know. All of a sudden they're like, they send Trump to jail. Oh, boom. Nikki's back. Right. So, wouldn't that be just amazing? Yeah. So, anyways, it's going to be an interesting day. It's going to be an interesting week. I'm glad to share the time with you. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average.